Hi guys, hope you're doing well. First video of the new year. I hope you had a good holiday break. I know I did. I got a lot accomplished that I want to share with you, and then we'll get to today's video. Some changes you're going to be seeing on the channel. I'm going to be going a little bit more often into talking about personal finances. I tend to get a lot of questions about that because of my finance background, and I've just not been covering it as often as I have been things like startup funding, business loans, and things like that. Don't worry, I'll still be covering those topics and answer any questions you have in video content, but I'm going to be splashing in a little bit more about money. And one of the reasons is during the break, during the holidays, kind of relaxing, sitting around, talking to some of my friends, looking at some of the information that they post online, I'm just learning more and more that money has a really big impact on our lives. I know, surprise. And I just want to help people get in a better financial position. Not that our lives are perfect, but over the years, we've really put ourselves in a much better financial position than we've ever been in. And it has created some freedom, and it it kind of alleviates some stress. So I want to help people along that avenue. So we'll be sharing more content along those lines. Also, a few more announcements just to let you know, almost finished with the book, The Ladder or the Grind, where I talk about people's career choices, whether they get into the startup world or go the entrepreneurial route, or maybe they just stay an employee, why some people made the choices they made, and some of the factors that went into that. So I'm getting really close to finishing that, and I'll let you know when it's available for pre-order. And then lastly, last announcement, I've been wrapping up re-recording one of my most popular courses that I have on Udemy right now. It's called The Complete Guide to Business Loans. I've had a lot of students come through my courses. I think I'm up to almost 5,000 now, and that particular course has done really well, but I wanted to re-record it and add some examples to help people calculate the ratios that bankers calculate when you apply for a business loan. So I've added that in, and I'm almost done, finished re-recording that entire course. Now for today's topic. Again, over the holidays, I spent a lot of time thinking about money and finances and things like that, helping some friends of mine work through a few issues. And one of the concepts that I've sort of come up with is a little bit of a twist on an old concept. So you've probably heard about the idea of paying yourself first, that you should always pay yourself first. Not a lot of people do this. And when they say pay yourself first, what a lot of the experts recommend is that, when your paycheck comes in, the very first thing you do is take some portion of that and pay yourself by putting it in a savings account or putting it into investments. That's a really good philosophy. My spin is a little bit different on the pay yourself first philosophy, and I call it the pay yourself instead philosophy. And I came up with the idea, actually, again, over the holidays, was out getting ready to spend some money on some food, and I thought, how interesting would it be if I took some of those expenses, not all of them. I'm not one of those proponents that says you should never eat out, but you have to check where you are spending your money, and if you're spending too much money eating out, you should curb that. And one of the ways I see being able to leverage that is to pay yourself instead. So instead of paying Starbucks or paying the restaurant that you're going out to, maybe every now and then, depending on your budget, pay yourself instead. So take that same amount that you would spend and pull it out of your account that it was going to come out of and put it in that same savings account or investment account that you would use if you were paying yourself first. So I just call it a pay yourself instead approach, something to really think about. You never know what it can add up to. There are some apps out there that I'm going to talk about in the future. One of them is called Acorns, and it actually does a roundup to help you invest. And this is a similar idea, but instead of rounding up the amount you would spend, just take that full amount and set it aside. Maybe you just don't need that coffee today, and you can take that $4 and put it in your savings account. Maybe you've eaten out enough lately, and instead of going out and spending another $10, $15, $20, sometimes $30 on yourself, take that amount, peel it out of the account instead, and pay yourself and put that in your savings or investment account. As you know, these type things tend to snowball on you, and after a while, you'll have a substantial amount saved to help alleviate some of those financial stresses. I think through this method you could pretty quickly get to that $400 sum amount, and the reason I'm pegging that for you is because that's the amount that a lot of experts say that most people cannot afford to spend if an emergency comes up. $400. I know in the past of my life it was hard just to find a few bucks to buy that coffee that I wanted, but $400 really, you should have that set aside at the very least in an emergency fund. And through this method, you could build that up pretty quickly. I bet you some of you, I've done this in the past myself, so no judgment, spent over $400 in your income kind of wasted through eating out and other things along the way. So think about this approach. Not necessarily pay yourself first, but pay yourself instead. Maybe do both together. But instead of going out and spending that money, maybe pause, take a minute, pull that money out of your account so you're not tempted to spend it, stick it in your savings account or your retirement account. You never know how much it'll grow to be. It'll put you in a much better financial position, and you just can't imagine that when you get yourself in that kind of position, how less the stress is on you. Hope you enjoy that. We'll talk to you again soon. See ya.